All right, I know that there was huge Bay Area trade news today. Jimmy Butler on his way to the Warriors. Just so happens that we've got a Christian McCaffrey update. Christian, of course, the big trade acquisition for the 49ers that transformed things back in 2022. According to Ed McCaffrey, Christian is going to be fully healthy next week. That follows the PCL injury that he suffered in early December against Buffalo. So the 49ers are set to have a fully healthy Christian McCaffrey for the 2025 season. That obviously is a huge deal. That ties right into our state of the 49ers piece on the running backs. And we'll get to all the different permutations that the 49ers might run in the backfield next season, combined with some rookies that they can add to the football team. But first things first, and that is the health of Christian McCaffrey is absolutely paramount for the 49ers. Another part of this update is that Fred Warner came on the Pat McAfee show today and verified that the 49ers were shocked and caught off guard by Christian McCaffrey's Achilles injury that happened right before week one. Obviously, he was sidelined against the New York Jets. That was a surprise. We didn't learn that he was going to be sidelined until 90 minutes before the game when he was a surprise inactive. And then he was put on injured reserve. He would not return until the game against Tampa Bay coming out of the bye week. And then once Christian McCaffrey found his stride, well, that's when he got hurt against the Buffalo Bills in a separate injury. But there was this big conspiracy theory around the time that Christian McCaffrey first went on injured reserve, probably created by those who are a little too obsessed with fantasy football. People thought that the 49ers were somehow hiding McCaffrey's injury from the rest of the world. That couldn't have been further from the truth, as I reported at the time. The tendonitis flared up on Christian McCaffrey. I saw him practice in training camp. He was explosive. And then all of a sudden, they had to shut him down. And when they shut him down, well, that was the big-time surprise that helped derail the 49ers season. Kyle Shanahan builds entire offensive philosophies around Christian McCaffrey. He is a special player when it comes to the ability to deliver both on the ground and through the air. So that sets things up for the 49ers offense in both of those facets. So when Shanahan all of a sudden didn't have Christian McCaffrey, and when he found out very late before the season started that he wouldn't have Christian McCaffrey, well, obviously a lot of the 49ers offensive problems can be traced back to that. They also didn't have Brandon Ayuk at full capacity at any point in the 2024 season. So between losing Ayuk and McCaffrey altogether, right? They didn't have either of those two guys at all for a lot of the season, but also losing them and their full capacity of production, which the team saw in 2023. Between losing those two guys, you can easily explain why the 49ers dropped from number 11 in average separation at the time of catch or incompletion all the way down to number 32. Dead last in the NFL. So needless to say, it's really important that the 49ers have a healthy Christian McCaffrey this next season. This is State of the 49ers, the running back edition that I wrote up on the San Francisco Standard. Take a look at running back efficiency in 2024. Blue is good. Red is bad. Jordan Mason had a nice year running the football, the 3.35 yards after contact per attempt. Same exact average as Christian McCaffrey posted in 2023 when he was an MVP finalist. Obviously, the number wasn't as good for Christian McCaffrey in very limited carries, only 50 carries for him over the course of the 2024 season. Mason, by the way, great average, good in this right column. But remember that McCaffrey had 272 carries the season prior. So the 49ers didn't have nearly the amount of volume that they needed after Christian McCaffrey got hurt. Volume of the efficiency at the running back position. You need both. You need efficiency and you need volume. And the 49ers, well, they had some efficiency with Jordan Mason, but they definitely did not have enough volume. And another thing that they didn't have without Christian McCaffrey until Isaac Guerendo blossomed later in the season was the efficiency coming out of the backfield. Christian McCaffrey, a trusted target of Brock Purdy's. You saw it in that first game back against Tampa Bay on just the amazing throw and catch, the rainbow that Brock Purdy threw as he was under duress and Christian McCaffrey ran under the football. This is a high-level receiver that opens up a lot in that facet of the offense. This is yards per route run, Pro Football Focus stat. McCaffrey well above league average for running backs at 1.6 yards per route run. Obviously, Jordan Mason not nearly as good. But Guerendo, that is a bright spot for the future. He seemed to develop a rapport with Brock Purdy, maybe because he had been a receiver at the start of his time in college at Wisconsin. So Jordan Mason did a lot of impressive stuff this last year. Running the football, I like to look at this graph where he's in the upper right with Derrick Henry. This is the amount of stacked boxes that the 49ers faced. Mason facing more stacked boxes than anybody, really high rushing yards over expectation per attempt. So that was all really good for Jordan Mason, but the dual threat of Christian McCaffrey is something that is extremely important to the 49ers offense. And we saw that right after the 49ers traded for Christian McCaffrey. I'm thinking about big trades in the Bay Area since we're talking about Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. I know Jimmy Butler, obviously a little bit past his prime, but it makes things a little bit more interesting for the Warriors. He's 35 years old. They needed to do something to try to maximize the final few years of Steph Curry, who remarkably still seems to be in his prime. But go back to a blockbuster trade before this Jimmy Butler one in the Bay Area, and you go back to Christian McCaffrey coming over to the 49ers in October of 2022. McCaffrey transformed the offense for San Francisco. 2023 was an MVP finalist alongside his teammate Brock Purdy. It was Purdy and McCaffrey, the engine, the battery of the 49ers offense. And then we saw the value of Christian McCaffrey by omission in 2024. Only 50 carries, Achilles injury, followed by the PCL injury. Well, without him, the offense dropped from number 1 to number 11. I know there was no Brandon Ayuk for much of the season as well, and the 49ers had some other issues, but I think that you can point back at Christian McCaffrey and his absence as one of the primary impediments for the 49ers. The good news is that the Achilles tendonitis, which caught the 49ers by surprise, was fully healed when McCaffrey returned, and he had worked up back to full speed against Buffalo, which I thought was remarkable. And it was just a bad break for San Francisco that Taylor Rapp on a play that would have been a he's back touchdown. I mean, I wrote about the he's back touchdown in this article, link in the description, by the way, but it was just a would-be touchdown. It wasn't an actual touchdown for Christian McCaffrey. Rapp tripped him up by the shoestring, and he hit his knee on that frozen turf in Buffalo. Totally separate injury, the PCL that knocked McCaffrey out for the rest of the season, separate from the Achilles, which is good news for the 49ers. And another piece of good news is that Ed McCaffrey updated us today that Christian McCaffrey will be fully healthy by next week, ready to attack the offseason with vigor. I can guarantee you that he is going to be hungry as hell entering the 2025 season.